Hello and welcome to the She Reads Romance Books podcast, the ultimate show for romance book lovers looking for the best books worth reading. I'm your host, Leslie Murphy, and in each short episode, I share my favorite book list of recommendations so you know exactly what to add to your must-read list. Join me as I explore the romance genre and have fun collecting book boyfriends along the way, because life is better with a love story. Hello, readers. Welcome back to the She Reads Romance Books podcast. Today, I am super excited for my special guest to join me. She is on a mission to change the status quo of the romance book genre, one book at a time, including her latest release, Curvy Girl Summer, which is out now. We are going to talk all about that book and more, and I am so excited to welcome Danielle Allen to the show. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. This is going to be a big summer for you.
Yes.
I started reading Curvy Girl Summer. I'm about halfway through and I'm excited to finish it, but we're just going to launch right in. Can you tell listeners and readers what Curvy Girl Summer is all about?
Curvy Girl Summer is about a woman who is tired of the dating scene. She's ready to find the one. She doesn't want to go through the whole dating thing. And prompted by a unfortunate incident with her family, she has decided, okay, like she told them she already had a man. Now she just has to get the man.
Find him.
So she is on her journey. She is enjoying her Curvy Girl Summer by going on dates and looking to find that one that she can, debut at her 30th birthday event.
Yes, I love it. And there's honestly so much to love about Aaliyah, but what in general sort of inspired you to write this story and in particular this heroine?
So I cannot think of many, and I can't even just say books, any mainstream media outlets that focus on a plus size heroine who is not, the storyline has nothing to do with her losing weight. It has nothing to do with her having to lose weight to get her happily ever after. Just the stories that I've had in my dating experience, my friends have had in their dating experience, and just like being at the forefront of that and not having all of the preconceived notions about what it is to be plus size and dating. I've never seen that displayed in a way that's to the forefront. So she is Black, she is fat, she has natural hair, and she is out here dating like me and my friends who, when we were dating, that's how we got down. And so it was just kind of like to have it. It was very important for me to have that because usually there was either the sidekick that was the Black friend or the fat friend. A lot of times in media, it'll be the fat Black friend, but like never having her be the star, her being the main event. And so I feel like I'm the main character in my story, in my life. And I have so many friends who, like, we all deserve to be the main event, the main character in our own lives. And so I wanted Aaliyah to represent like being the main character in her life, in her story, in her dating story, and have that be at the forefront, not a side character, not a background character, but her in all of her curves, enjoying her dating experience and also not enjoying her dating experience.
That's so true. And we will get to that. Well, and so I loved when I read on your bio that you're out to change the status quo, right? And so is that your overall mission, not just with this book, but in all of your books?
Absolutely.
That? Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And not just like in the physical appearances of the main characters, but just in storylines too. Like I love, my favorite genre is mystery. I love a psychological thriller. I love the twists and turns, but with romance, you are guaranteed a happily ever after. Like there can't be. So I will always have twists and turns in my story. I will always have those elements because I love those elements. And I write what I like to read, but it's always going to be a satisfying ending as well, but because it's romance. But like I love a good twist and turn. And so I feel like I know that there is a formula, but I think I try to write my stories so that it's not formulaic, if that makes sense. Like, so I am guaranteeing you a happily ever after, but I want to take you on a ride. I want you to enjoy the journey to the end.
Yes, absolutely. And there is sort of a slight twist in this book. I just got to that part where she's like, "Oh, wait a minute." Now I'm excited to see how that all unfolds. But so talking about her, she's a woman who owns her curves, right? But her family, especially her uncle, claims that she can't get a man because of her weight. Did
Mhm.
you make a point to like have her family use that as an excuse as opposed to just like a colleague or a person she dated? Because I kind of think it lands a little more harshly coming from a family member, or I don't know, was that
Absolutely.
purposeful or not?
It was because I do think that there are a lot of societal things that our families, even when there are people who say, "Oh, I love you. I'm saying this because I love you," and they don't recognize how it sounds, how it's coming off. So I wanted to also highlight for those of us, because there are people who I feel like who are reading it and they have experienced it because they have been Aaliyah or
Hmm.
they are Aaliyah, and then there are people who have never experienced it because they haven't ever been big, and so they are able to see that sometimes the things that they say that they think may be harmless or they're saying with love,
Right.
how it actually sounds, what it actually feels like. And that was one of the points that I wanted to make. And that's why because when you meet other people like Nina, like her family, it's different because not every family, not everybody has that dynamic. But I think for Aaliyah in particular, and it's generational because the uncle also did the same types of things, said the same type of things to Aaliyah's mother when they were growing up. And so these things have been embedded into really society because these messages that are coming from her uncle in particular are some of the same messages that are constantly thrown at us in the world day in and day out. So he was just the person, like the person who makes comments on like social media and they're like, for your health, X, Y, and Z, and they don't
Right.
know anything about your health. So that's Aaliyah's uncle. He's saying it because he cares and that
Yeah.
he means well. But it's like if you took a step back, you could see how nothing that you're saying is with love.
Well, and even like she says that, but it's like it kind of goes over his head because he just keeps bringing it back, and you're like, dude, are you not seeing who's in front of you, the strong female woman? Like, let her go. But at the same time, your point of the book, like, I appreciated that you used that because I was like, okay, now I understand why she's like out to get her man for this party because what else is she gonna do? But I have to say though, this book, it starts out with a bang, like a literal banging, right? And I'm like, okay, like I love this chick who is like, I'm gonna go back and just see my ex because he gives good dick, and that's all I need right now. So, so I thought how you opened this book was fantastic, just setting out like who this woman is and is going to be in the story. So well done.
Thank you.
And
It's
plus,
always a risk because I feel it is a slow burn. And I feel like I say that and then they open the first page and they're like, is it?
but it totally hooked me because I was just like, okay, like, because I have, this is your first book they read, and I'm like, this one can write some steam. Like, what else is going? But I love a good slow burn. So I knew maybe what's coming because you already like set the tone. So that was fantastic.
Thank you so much.
So that got me hooked on Aaliyah and what I knew was going to be her journey throughout this book. But can you kind of tell us what you think readers are going to love most about Aaliyah, your heroine of this story?
I think that it is Aaliyah's way of adapting through all of these situations because some of these situations that she finds herself in are, the first chapter, it was self-induced. She knew what it was. And then after their experience together, having to navigate that. And then navigating dating and the different dates that she goes on. So I think seeing Aaliyah navigate through the world, I think that is what people are going to like really, really like about her and her friends, her like support system. like her friend at the bar and her best friends. Like I think that they're going to enjoy like her support system because she does have a support system, even though it seems like her family is because within her family there are like people like her grandma who is like, leave that girl alone. And then
Right.
there's like her uncle that's like, you too fat you better take what you can get. And then her mom and dad who are like, I don't agree with your uncle, but
Right.
when are you going to settle down? So it's like she's getting all of these different things from her family. Then in the dating world, it's a mess. And
It's a
so
mess.
she's getting
Well, and so I love her, right? But this book, and I imagine the series, because I think there's going to be 2 more books, right? Has a lot to say about this world of modern dating,
yeah.
right? So what sort of sparked this topic as the backdrop to this story and maybe the
Well,
others too?
I think dating is just a fun thing to play with, but also just the idea. I think I was watching Insecure and I love that series so much. But there is a side character, the only plus size main character named Kelly. She never got, like, we saw glimpses of her dating unapologetically, but like it was never the focal point like it was for the 3 other slim leads. So I was like, I want to see more of that. Like we never got a chance to see like Kelly's out here dating and doing what she do. Like you saw like glimpses. So I wanted to highlight not only the experiences that like, because some of the dates that Aaliyah has gone on, they were actually dates that I've been on or some of my closest friends. And like we share stories and shake our heads and are just like, this is a mess. Now, in the book, it was dramatized a bit more. But like all of those things happened to a real life person. And it was just like, there's some not so good things out there and it needs to be talked about. And I
Yeah.
wanted people to also feel like, hey, you're not alone because I feel like there are people who are trying to game you no matter what your size is, no matter what your race is, no matter, you know what I mean? Like there are people out there trying to get what they can get out of you if you let them. So just being aware. So I just thought
Oh,
that it would be fun to have Aaliyah in these different predicaments because she is on a concerted effort to have that man
with the
by
timeline.
summer.
Yes.
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 So
Well, and maybe this is a little personal, but I was going to say, like, so have you been on the apps and been dating? Because I had to be like, because and maybe you just said that, like, did you pull some of your experiences into hers? Because I was just like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think that that could happen. And it happened to her. And I was just like, oh, girl, So, yeah, did you
there,
draw some stuff in? It sounds like.
there are definitely some things. Now, I like am no longer single, but when I was single and out there dating, without spoiling anything, there is a date that Aaliyah goes on where someone lies about children that happened to me and happened to a friend of mine. There's the date where someone made a lot of assumptions about me because like, oh, well, you're big, so I know you know how to cook. I know you do X, Y, and Z. I know the sex, da 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 da. And it's just like this feels like a fetish. It does not feel like you have not asked me anything about me.
Right.
And so I had a friend who someone said he was single and then he just wasn't wearing his wedding ring. And so like these things happened. And so it was just like these are real life things that can go on. But she also goes on some not so bad dates too. So it's not just all doom and gloom. But I feel like with that, it's just how sometimes when you're in I don't want to say desperate because Aaliyah never gives desperate, but when you have a timeline that you've put yourself on and you're like, okay, I'm gonna go on this date with this person. I'm gonna go on this date with this person. Like, you don't know what you're gonna get, but
Right.
you keep going because you are on this timeline but you don't know when love is going to happen. You don't know when you're gonna meet that person that you're meant to be with. You just don't know. And so sometimes if you're trying to force it, then
Right.
when you like end up going on dates with people that you wouldn't see, there won't be a second date. So I feel like all of the dates that she went on were a compilation of dates that friends and I have experienced and talked about, but like, so are the good ones. And so
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
so it's not all doom and gloom.
Right. But man, like she was tenacious because I was just like, I would have hung up the towel. I would like, forget it, you know? And I appreciate there was a time she said, I just want to skip the dating part and get just right to finding the one I'm meant to be with. And I'm like, I totally get it because
Yeah.
it's hard work. Plus, it's like, who are these people? You know, she feels like she does her due diligence beforehand. And then when they show up, she's just like, what the? Like, oh, yeah, I felt from her experience. Gosh.
And
Yeah.
I agree. I feel like if I had those dates like consecutively, so it wasn't
Right.
like you had like a good one and then a bad one and then a good one and a good one and a good one, then a bad one. Consecutively, I too would be like, you know what? I'm gonna tell my family, don't even worry about it.
Right. Exactly. I'm taking care of myself. I'm good. You know.
Like, don't worry about me, please.
Well, I love how on your website that you have been talking with Curvy Girl Confessions with some other authors with their like dating history and stuff. So you can tell people how to check that out on your Patreon to view this because I think they were awesome. But I'm stealing one question that you asked some of your authors in what is a dating ick for you? I love that question.
So a dating it for me, first and foremost, it is bad hygiene. Like if you aren't taking care, whether it's unbrushed teeth, your breath smells like any type of body odor, anything like that, then that's an ick for me. When people, if you have a lot of negative things, and this we're just meeting, you have a lot of negative things to say about your ex or like and just people in general, that's an ick. The way you treat service people. If we are at a restaurant and you talk funny to the waiter or waitress, that's an ick. So I think a lot of it is how someone treats other people. I feel like
A
that
lot.
tells you a lot. And so I think that an ick for me would certainly be how you treat other people. Because I think sometimes in romance, like it's romanticized that, oh, he's mean to everybody but me, like that
Right.
type of vibe. And that only plays well in books because I feel like in real life, if he's mean to everybody, eventually he's gonna be mean to you too.
Yes. And that, what do they say? Like, people don't lie. Like, what they're presented with, they're not going to change. That's how they are. So read the signs.
Ab- Absolutely.
Yes. Well, and is it also important to you then to also write strong female friendships in your book? Because she does have two, and I assume they're going to get their books in this series. Tell me more about her friends and what we love about them.
So she is best friends with Nina and Jasmine. And I have such a great like group of friends and we've been best friends for years. And I know that that's such a blessing because a lot of people can't like say that. Like the oldest one, we met when I was 4 and she was 6. And then the others I met in middle school and high school. So like it's been a good long time with these ladies. And I feel like we've been through some of everything together. And I just think that it's so important to like romantic love is everything. Like I love my man, but I feel like it's also so important, like equally important to have those platonic friendships like with people that you love too, because it's not all on that one your one romantic partner to be the end all be all for you. Like you need a support system. You need to have like a core group. So like I try to give all of my characters like a good, especially the women that I write, like a good core group of friends. And Nina is so Aaliyah is like, I want to find the one. I don't want to date, but I want to find the one. Nina is more like, I see what my parents have and it's beautiful. I love that for them. I want that. But the likelihood that I'm going to find one man that's going to do everything I need him to do is slim. So I'm going to date 4 men and have them play their roles.
Yep.
And I'm gonna do me. And so she is very much not looking for the one. She is looking for the ones. That's what she tells Leah. With Jasmine, she is divorced and she got married young and divorced young and has not gotten back into dating, doesn't trust herself, doesn't trust others. And so we don't see in Aaliyah's book, we know that Jasmine's a teacher, so she's gone for the summer. It was originally just supposed to be for a week, but her aunt's sick, so she ends up staying in her hometown. So we don't really know a lot of what's going on with Jasmine because she's dealing with so much. So you learn more about what's going on with her when we get to her book. But Nina is in town living her life. I mean, so she's encouraging Aaliyah to be in the streets. And Aaliyah's like, I don't want to be in the streets. I want to find this one man to live happily ever after with. And Nina's just like, that's sad. I feel like there's so many men out here. You gonna leave me to like tackle them all? Like, I can't do this by myself. So Nina is more like, I'm going to embrace my singleness. And Jasmine is more like, I am trying to reclaim myself and figure things out in this newfound singleness post-divorce. And Aaliyah is just like, okay, where's the one? I'm ready for the one. I dated, didn't like it. I told myself I wasn't going to date for a while, so I've been single for a long time now. Now I just want my man.
Well, I can't wait for their books too. But where her family pushed her in a not so great way, I loved how Nina kind of pushed her, but in a like as a great friend. Because she's like, well, if this is what you want, this is what you need. Like, get out there and do it, you know. And so I loved that she, you know, she's a good friend because she wants what's best for her, but isn't afraid to share a little tough love in a good way.
Yes, absolutely. Because Nina will definitely tell her how it is, but she also knows, like, that's what you want. You got to do the things to get what you want. And yeah, it's not ideal. Sometimes you're going to run into some bad ones, but okay, and go on to the next one. But Aaliyah's seeing it like, oh, this is such a waste of time. When this could be time where I could be with my man. Like, I need to just skip over all of this. Where is he at?
Where is he? Well, speaking of he, I won't say a name because that kind of spoiled it. But what do you think readers are going to love about the hero of the book and why he will be a great book boyfriend?
He is everything that you would want a man to be in this situation. Is supportive, he's encouraging, has genuine affection and love for not only Aaliyah, but her well-being. And I feel like them having the type of relationship that they had led to things being able to develop in the ways that they developed. So that was me trying to say everything I needed to say without.
That was fun. And they have to sort of like they barb, you know, like they're not shy and like you sending barbs to each other, you know. And I was like, oh, okay, let's bring it, you know.
I love that about them because it's like you have to be very comfortable with like not only yourself but with the other person and like just being. And I think that is where it starts when it's like, especially how they ended up meeting. It's like, you know, I don't care what you think, so I'm gonna be my true self. I'm not like putting on a persona. I'm not trying to get you to like me. I'm like, I feel a way about how you came at me. So now we're going back and forth, and their banter is one of my favorites. And so I feel like that is something that I think people would like about him, but really like about their relationship.
Yes, I totally agree. Every year I run a romance book reading challenge. And in June, one of the challenge prompts is to pick a romance book based on the cover. And I absolutely love this cover. I love the pictures. I love the colors used. Like, I know nothing really about publishing. Like, did you have a say in this, or were you just shown like, here's your cover? You know, like, how's it work?
I was able to pick the artist. I want to say her name's Kyo. I was able to select her.
Okay.
And they asked me, like, you know, what does Aaliyah look like? And then, you know, where does she be? And I was like, at the bar, this is what Aaliyah looks like. And they were like, okay. So then they came back with the cover and they had different colors, and then they were like, I think I want to change the colors. And so they changed the colors to the purple and the like highlighter yellow. And I was like, I love everything about this. No notes. Like, this is perfect.
Like, I don't even know what you would call this style, like, of the picture, but it's kind of, I don't know, like, it's not hand drawn, but I don't know. I just love it. And the colors, like the purple and the highlighter yellow, like you said, like pops. You know?
I feel like it to me was giving summertime. And like wouldn't have automatically picked those colors,
Mm-hmm.
and they just work so perfectly together. It's
Yes,
exciting.
absolutely. Well, and it sounds like you're going to have a definite Curvy Girl Summer because you're about to have a Curvy Girl Summer release party. And I think you're doing an event with Allie Hazelwood soon. So tell me what's coming up to help promote the book.
I am so excited. So I'm starting on the 11th on release day. I'll
Mhm.
be at the Barnes and Noble. I believe it's in Manhattan. I'm not sure, but I'll be in New York, and that's a free event, and that's to celebrate release day. And then I'll be at the Rip Bodice on the 12th for the Rip Bodice and DM are doing a thing. So I'm on a panel there. And then I'll be at, I was about to say Colleen Hoover's Book
Oh,
Bonanza.
Book Bonanza.
I'll
Hmm.
be at Book Bonanza on the 13th through the 15th. And then me and Allie Hazelwood are doing because we both release on the 11th. So both of our release dates are on the same day. So we are celebrating that by having a in-person discussion, and that will be in Austin, Texas. And then after that, on the 22nd of June, I'll be having a release party in Petersburg, Virginia, because I'm from Virginia. So like I wanted to do something locally. And so that's June 22nd. Then I'll be on a panel at Essence Fest in New Orleans, and I'm very excited about that.
Cool.
And the one June 22nd in Petersburg, I'll be at Resist Booksellers, and then I'll be at Loyalty Books July 10th, I think. And so I think that's the last day. So I think it's like a 1 month of things that they like set up for me. And so I'm very
Fun
excited.
times. Yeah. Oh, that's exciting. I can't wait to hear how those go and the release. But I wanted to take it back just a little bit. And I would love to know, like, how did y'all start? Like, how did you become a romance author that now, fast forward to today, you're releasing this book? So how did it begin?
So it was 2013,
Okay.
and I had a list of 30 things I wanted to do before I turned 30, and writing a book was the number one thing on my list. In third grade, I was like, oh, I want to write a book, but I didn't know real people wrote books. I didn't know how it all worked, but
Yeah.
I didn't know. So it put it in the back of my mind, but I had that on my list. And so I was like, all right, I'm gonna write a book. So I wrote my first book, and it's still out there in the world. It's what you would assume a first book would be. I knew nothing, and I was just like, I'm gonna just write it down.
What did you? Yeah.
And then I'm gonna upload it and see what happens. But there were a couple of people who picked it up and read it. And what I love is that even though the book is rough, and I never changed it because I feel like that was where I was in 2013, knowing nothing. So I didn't get it re-edited. I didn't do anything. So, or that was 2013, and I sold a few copies, but I didn't stop. I didn't give up. I knew I loved telling that story. I loved that. And even though it's my roughest book, like that two book, because it ended up being three books because later, but book 1 and 2 I wrote first, and they are my roughest, but I love the storyline. I loved all the twists and turns in there. Because for me, it wasn't, I was writing for a career. I was writing because it was on my list of something I wanted to do. And I only published it because like someone was like, hey, like you should put it on Amazon. And I was like, what? You can do that? And so we looked up how to do it and just uploaded it. At that time, I didn't even know that there was an indie community. Like someone who bought the book sent me a message on like Amazon. Instead of writing their review, they were like, hey, email me. So I emailed them, and they were like, I love this book. Like, you don't have a presence on social media. And she was like, there's a whole community. And I'll never forget, Natalie is her name. And she was like, make a page and then come on and I'll show you around. And that was my introduction to the indie community. And so it was just like me writing and putting stuff out. And I write for me, and I'm always full and thankful when people read it and they get it and they understand it and they like pick up because there's always going to be a message in there, and they pick that up that like means so much to me. But like I wasn't like hitting lists. I wasn't like, there were people like with each release, I feel like more and more people were like picking up the books, but it wasn't like I was selling off the charts or anything. And it was all
And you were independently publishing this
whole time. So
Okay.
I have 50 indie releases. 3 of those are nonfiction. They are more like life coaching because my degree is in marriage and family counseling. And so 47 are romance, and some are like more rom-com, some more erotic, some are more suspenseful, some are mystery, but they're all romance. And I just kept putting stuff out because I wanted to, because I loved it. And I remember someone asked me if I was going to like pitch and try to get an agent or a deal. And I was like, I don't know how to do that. Like, I would have to look it up. And that felt like I have books to write, so I don't have the time or how to do that right now. And then I wrote a novella for Ashley Antoinette's Book Lovers app. And she is an agent as well as an author. And she reached out, like I put it on it was the first time I put it on my vision board for that year. So I guess it was 2021 going into 2022. I was like, you know what? I want to get an agent. I want to be in a bookstore. Like I want to be in a traditional bookstore. So I want an agent. So I put it on my vision board. And I was like, this will force me to look up how to do it at some point in time. And then I did that on New Year's Eve. Less than 2 weeks later, I get an email to set up a meeting, and I talked to Ashley, and she was like, I'm interested in representing you. Would you want representation? And I was like, look at God, because
Seriously.
I didn't have to, part of the barrier was that I was like, I don't have the time to figure out how to pitch, how to do all of those things. And it came when it came. And so that was in 2022. And then I wrote, this is the story I want to tell. I want these 3 best friends, all of them big, and they're all the heroines. And it's not about them losing weight. It's not about them feeling bad about themselves. They don't lack confidence, because I feel like there's so many of us who are living full lives with great love lives and are fully confident in ourselves, who that's not really represented. When I think about growing up, it was Monique's character in The Parkers chasing after Professor Ogleby and getting shut down time after time. And so it was never the big girl getting the guy. Even when, what was it, Bridget Jones?
Mm-hmm.
Remember being told she was big and then being like, is she? What is, I'm confused. Because if that's big, what is going on? So I told her that this is what I wanted to write. And she was like, all right, this is what you need to, how you need to write it out. And then she pitched it, and then Bramble were like, I'm in. So it was, so I think that it's very cool that this book, Curvy Girl Summer, is my 51st book. And I feel like 50 books ago, I was just like, this is what I want to do. I'm going to write.
I love that story. Gosh, power of the vision board. That is, yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So after readers fall in love with Curvy Girl Summer, which book or books of yours should they go back and read next?
I would say Insta-Love and Insta-Love the Reunion, because if you like a reality TV romance, if you like, was it Love at First Sight? Is that the show that was on Netflix with Cameron and
reality show?
Yeah, because not Married at First Sight and Love is Blind. So
yeah, Love is Blind. Right. Yep.
Love is Blind and Married at First Sight. Mm-hmm. It is reality TV romance. It's a slow burn, and it's sexy, and it gives you all the things. So there's that, and then there's the one, which is, they are not connected, but they're in the same world. So the one and after the one, it's also reality TV romance, but that is the Bachelor style romance. And Zoe is a contestant on the Bachelor style show called The One. And she, you go through her journey. On Insta Love, you have Mariah, and she filled out the paperwork and is chosen to participate because she is like, I want to find my person, and I'm tired of these bad dates. So I'll see what these experts have to say. And then if you are looking for something different, if you're looking for a co-inspired experience, I have 4 love stories. They are not scary, but the 4 love stories based on Edgar Allan Poe's work. So there's Nevermore, which is based on The Raven. There is Telltale, which is a Telltale Heart inspired. And then there is Annabelle and Lee, which is based on the poem Annabelle Lee. And then The Cask, which is based on the Cask of Amontillado. And so it takes Poe's work, like the bones of it, but it is a love story. And I feel like people think that they need to be scholars to like read it or they need to read. I think if you read the Poe work first and then read the story, you'll be able to see the parallels. And I think that you'll be like, that's impressive. But like, you don't have to. The story stands on its own if you have no knowledge of Poe.
That's awesome. Very cool. Yeah. Well, I will add all of those to my TBR list. But before we go, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about Danielle, the reader. But before I do that, any last things you want to share about Curvy Girl Summer?
Curvy Girl Summer is one that you should read and enjoy and like pick up the little like bits of knowledge that are dropped throughout, whether you are single or like dating or married, like whatever the case. There is something for you to be able to pick up and enjoy. But also, like, there are a lot of bad heroines whose stories are out there and they don't get a lot of attention. And I think that in enjoying Curvy Girl Summer and like talking about it, I think that would give other media outlets the green light to be like, oh, it's okay to have a fat woman star in this. Because I feel like, look at, what's that show? Bridgerton? Like, are going like, they said that Penelope's storyline, it was the biggest, like the most watched of all the seasons, like for that first weekend. And it's like, because when you're looking at the statistic, there are more bigger people than like they're extremely small people. So show a diverse range of body sizes and highlight that. So I feel like in supporting Curvy Girl Summer, I do think that would help people see that, like, watch out for the big girl.
God, there you have it, you guys. This was such a fun interview, getting to know Danielle and hearing more about her new book, Curvy Girl Summer. But our conversation continued where I asked Danielle fun questions about her life and reading habits and her greatest piece of advice as a life coach, why she loves reading romance, and so much more. You can gain instant access to this exclusive extended interview as a video when you join the She Reads Romance Books book club. Plus, you'll gain access to all of my exclusive author interviews from those who've joined me on the podcast. And trust me that you don't want to miss this inside look at some of the most popular romance authors of today, like Catherine Center and Amy Dawes and Candy Steiner, to name just a few. So visit shereadsromancebooks.com/book club to join today. Thank you so much for joining me in this episode of the She Reads Romance Books podcast. Be sure to hit follow so you can catch even more upcoming episodes. But until next time, happy reading, because life is better with a love story.
That's all for this episode of the She Reads Romance Books podcast. I hope you enjoyed it and found some new books to add to your TBR list. If you did, please subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. It really helps me reach more romance book lovers like you, and I appreciate your support. If you're a book boyfriend collector like me, then you'll want to join my email list so you never miss a podcast episode or a new book list. Just visit shereadsromancebooks.com/join and sign up today. As a thank you, I'll instantly send you my list of top 10 book boyfriends that will make you swoon. Trust me, you don't want to miss this list. Thank you for listening, and until next time, happy reading.